Why do you hate that one coworker so much? Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for the support. He talks to himself the entire day, non-stop. Through every bit of what he is doing, it is literal insanity. Okay, wait. Insane laugh? Oh, I see now. Yep, but then? Non-stop. 8.5 hours, 5 days a week. I will murder you. Next story. Picked up half the pallet 2 times in front of corporate guys, swore at the supervisor that reprimanded him, got walked out, threatened the life of his soup, threw his badge in the machine, ruining a batch, and dropped a shoulder into the soup to try starting a fight before he left the building. Next story. He damn smells so bad, and I feel guilty for hating him because he's a sweetheart, but this dude seriously might shower once every other week or so. We work at a coffee, donut shop, and his uniform polo shirt that is supposed to be white is literally brown because he never washes his clothes. His khaki pants are covered in sugar and dirt. He smells like sugar, donuts. I have to hold my nose when I walk past him, or I gag. Next story. Oh, there are so many reasons. She never shuts up. She has no sense of when she's being obnoxious and thinks everyone loves her. Even the random people on public transit she continually strikes up conversations with. She constantly tells conflicting and increasingly impossible stories about her life. She grew up in Chicago. No, wait, Wisconsin. No, in an artist commune in South America. She teases people about embarrassing incidents and thinks she's hilarious. She said that France deserved the Bataclan attack because of colonialism. She bragged about getting half of her ex-husband's social security checks, even though they haven't seen each other in 20 years. She constantly talks crap about people of other races. I bought some cookies from a black Girl Scout troop. They gave me correct change. The cookies were less expensive than I thought, and I was surprised. She told me it was shocking that they would give me the correct amount of change. She's also amazed that the team we work with in India speaks English. She has no situational awareness and often talks crap about people in front of them. She constantly talks crap about other coworkers. Anyone, really. Random strangers she sees. I wonder what she says about me behind my back. I needed to get that off my chest. Next story. They do favors for people consisting of doing things no one asked for, such as choosing a schedule because they think you'd prefer the one they didn't take, or talking to the boss about something for you so they can defend what you did. Then they act like you owe them for these things. On top of that, they constantly do things outside of policy and act like a victim/martyr when they get into trouble. Next story. Interrupts every conversation you are having, even if it involves her. Like, she interrupts you if you are talking to her to talk about herself. It's so infuriating. Also, complains about absolutely everything. Her favorite thing to complain about is what she gets paid to do. How dare anyone ask her to actually work? Rage. Just pure rage. Next story. I was an average, polite human being to her once, and now we're best friends. Such good friends that if I see her in the hall, I hide lest I am forced to listen to a 3-hour story about everything horrible in her life. Next story. He's a two-faced, double-dealing, nugget, coward-bellied scum from the mercenaries' barrel bottom. There's more morality in an animal's post-mortem excrement than his entire flesh. Next story. My only coworker in a tech support help desk line is a computer-illiterate man-child. Some highlights. Exasperated swearing, fumbling with his headset every single time he gets a phone call. The most easily stressed and overwhelmed person I've ever met. Incapable of retaining context-based information. If this customer, consider this custom work they've had, frequently gives the customers wrong information, passes work he doesn't know how to do to me, even though I haven't been there as long as he has, gets personally offended when customers call, email with problems. It's a tech support line, dude. They're not calling you to chat. Sometimes refers to women as girlies. God-awful jokes. All comic book 70s movie related. Unless the topic is video games, then his only joke is to reference Galaga. He is the victim in all situations. Dislikes Game of Thrones. Doesn't use the scroll wheel because it moves too fast. The worst is that he thinks we're pretty good friends, so he's really nice to me, so I have to be nice to him too. Next story. I work with this really obese girl from Australia, and she's pretty much loathed by everyone in the entire store. Let me tell you about Sherry. Sherry is about as tall as the wallabies she always talks about, and has an ass as wide as my oven. Sherry does little to no work while at work. Sherry never takes responsibility for her screw-ups. for which there are plenty. Sherry never stops talking about herself, her man, husband, whom she met over WoW and moved here, Canada, to marry, and her beloved Australia, mainly how much better and uniquely superior it is to Canada in every way. Sherry is just generally a human being who doesn't take cues from people that she has generally disliked and needs to stop talking. Sherry is always on a diet, but every day is cheat day, and Wendy's is right across the street. Sherry is going to finally join the gym this weekend, or next weekend, maybe the one after that. Sherry eats 2 pieces of birthday cake and is always first in line for seconds. Sherry eats so fast, she forgets to breathe and gasps for air. Sherry will disappear during the busiest times to go text her man in the bathroom while she takes a break. Sherry likes to sing along loudly to the music at work, but use her own lyrics since she doesn't remember the proper ones. Sherry is going bald in her 20s because her diet is so poor and she has no nutrition in it. Sherry rarely washes what thinning hair she has left. Sherry bites her nails loudly, and while her hands are extremely dirty, we handle used clothing all day, she makes slurping noises she bites them so intensely. Sherry likes to answer questions that were asked to people other than her, loudly and repeatedly until you acknowledge that she knew the same answer. Even though no one asked you, Sherry is the bane of mine and everyone else's existence in my workplace. Damn you, Sherry. Next story, because she makes her work her life. She is upper management's wet dream, but for those under her, she's just an incessant martyr. And then when we complain about her micromanaging and other annoying management habits, she is never held to account because she does such a good job. No, she just does long hours. It's not the same thing. Should have added that she's salaried, so she doesn't earn overtime. She's just a corporate suck-up who won't accept legitimate criticism of her management style. Next story, he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and has to prove it every time he speaks. It's impossible to have a friendly conversation with the guy because he has to share his knowledge and opinions on every topic and refuses to drop a topic unless he thinks he's convinced you that he's right. You can't politely disagree or agree to disagree because it will all be brought up again next time you see him. Next story, he constantly tries to one-up me and act like an expert at everything, completely narcissistic, and, to make matters worse, I sit right next to him. I don't even open my mouth anymore, unless it's lunch. Wait, he has actually tried to one-up me on my food selection before, so never mind. Next story, because he attempts to play stupid pranks on me that no one finds funny. Plus, I don't think we agree on a single thing. Idiot doesn't even like Archer. Next story, it's 2016 and she doesn't know how to operate Internet Explorer. Tell her to hit the blue back arrow in the left corner, and she will hit the red X in the opposite corner every God damn time. Then you have to log everything back in because she doesn't understand. Where did it all go? It was just here. Oh my. Next story. This isn't someone I currently work with, but rather someone who I worked with up until about a month ago. I also wouldn't say that I hate her, but she is probably the most annoying person I've ever met. I work in a daycare, and this woman was hired to work in the infant room. She has no children of her own, had never worked with children before, and didn't really seem to like children, which was evident by the fact that she acted like she had the most stressful job in the world. Mind you, she worked with babies, so her job mostly consisted of sitting around while the babies slept. She complained to me incessantly, often about how the babies kept getting her sick so she couldn't go to CrossFit, and also about how one of the other women in the infant room, who is the mother of a 1-year-old, kept correcting her work. That particular woman, who is a total sweetheart, was the reason the annoying lady eventually quit. Some more annoying things about her. Would cry if a baby spit up on her. Would cry for no real reason. Would try to set the baby she was holding on top of the baby I was holding if she felt overwhelmed. Yelled at the babies. Boasted about her healthy lifestyle, which was non-GMO and gluten-free, even though I saw her eat goldfish crackers pretty much every day. Told me she would rather Donald Trump be president than Hillary Clinton because Hillary doesn't support GMO labeling. Thankfully, she is from Australia and not a US citizen. Told me she has herpes. Would talk about her Tinder hookups. Told the other women at the daycare when she peed her pants at work. Would brag about how good-looking she is, even though her teeth look like candy corn. Broke up with her on-again, off-again boyfriend of 3 months, and then took him back because he met her requirements of getting rid of his cat, cleaning his carpet, and going to CrossFit with her. Next story. Claims to put a lot of value on being nice and polite and teamwork, but is backstabby and passive-aggressive. I am much more of the stay late to help you when you're in a jam, but also tell you loudly to shut up when you are wrong variety. Next story. When you share an office with someone, there's some unwritten rules. You don't fart when the other leaves the room. Surprise, I know it was you. But you also don't go to your mutual supervisor and say that you think I'm too stressed out and fear for your safety when I've done nothing of the sort and am handling my business the same as I ever have. You don't complain that I never listen to your suggestions when you literally don't make any, but you do have the as irritating habit of literally turning around and writing emails when we are in the middle of a conversation about work. You don't claim that you shouldn't have to listen to anything I have to say because I don't do my job, when my team has beaten your revenue by an average of 30% every month for the last 2 years. You don't claim that I'm not doing menial computer tasks that we both know are full of glitches and are never, ever, ever an indicator of business health, especially when you yourself haven't done them on a month. And I literally have an hour set aside every Friday where I do them, and only fell behind because I was on a business trip. You don't refuse to hire even though every indicator shows you are 3 understaffed, because you want to inflate your numbers, while allowing your team to underreport the hours that they work in an attempt to keep your labor rate down. Basically, you don't trash talk the other person in a feeble attempt to cover up the fact that you don't run your team, refuse to make hard decisions, put your own leisure time ahead of the actual success of your team. And you don't complain about your workload when you are doing 7 hours a day to the guy who's running 2 remote locations, and you actually have the luxury of seeing all your employees every day. Fortunately, my boss saw right through all the rubbish. Next story, no longer work there, but I could have become a certified bus mechanic after all the times he tried to throw me under one. Dude could shift blame like no one else. Next story, this idiot complains about anything. I've never had a conversation with him where he hasn't brought up something negative. Sometimes I want to slice my hand open and slap him in the face with my B+ blood. Next story, he rarely works a full week, doesn't know how to do even a quarter of my job, and if I need a day off, I have to make sure my work is done for how many days I take for vacation because he refuses to let me train someone to take over my shop. He also throws temper tantrums and storms out of the warehouse at age 50-ish. Next story. Because I am constantly having to clean up her messes, she has been in our department for years, but barely knows how to use a computer and still fails to understand our basic procedures. To top it off, she whines constantly about how hard she is working, when in reality, she does less than anyone else. And if you call her out on her nonsense, she will go to the bathroom for 10 minutes, then leave for the day claiming to suddenly be sick. She is a 60-plus-year-old woman who behaves like a petulant child, and I have no idea why she is still employed here. Oh, and she smokes like 2 packs of Pall Malls a day in her car with the windows rolled up, so when she comes back in from her breaks, she reeks like an ashtray. Next story. From her long and loud personal phone calls during work, I know how many pushes her daughter needed for labor, how much she's in debt, how her son-in-law is borderline abusive, the grooming schedule for her dog, Peaches, and her ringtone is a cat meowing. Next story. I work with a guy who will straight up lie. Not just bend the truth, but completely fabricate lies out of thin air. It's really hard to deal with someone like this because you have no idea what he's saying behind your back. All you know for sure is he's saying something. In my experience, incompetent people like this will talk in circles, blame others who are completely innocent, uninvolved, or start confrontations only to lie so they can claim to be a victim. It sucks. Next story. I work in an assisted home facility. This woman is late 40s, early 50s. She was being all nice to me, went to finish a load of laundry, which I offered to do, seeing how it was from my half of the cottage, but she claimed it was all right, and when she came out of the laundry room, she started screaming how she did everything around the cottage, even though she just served supper and sat on her ass on her phone until I asked her to do her damn job. Called me an idiot because I have a speech impediment. Not that bad even 15 years of speech therapy later, and caused 2 residents to fall and them got pissy when I called them in. Like we are supposed to. We don't know if they have a damn injury. Next story. He eats like a damn Neanderthal. Imagine the sound of two wet hands squishing a banana with honey. That's the sound his mouth makes when he eats even a tiny candy. I don't get how a mouth can make that much noise. Next story is the same rank as us, not management or anything, but tells us fellow workers to do this and that, like she runs the show, then complains to the bosses if someone is not up to her pace. She never takes lunch or breaks and feels it's okay to hold everyone up to her crackhead pace of work. Moreover, she literally has no life outside of the job, and because of this, alienated herself from any real friends at work except for this other nasty old idiot by talking behind people's backs. Next story? Oh boy, where do I begin? Dude leaves company because a woman is made manager, begs for his job back, saying he will respect the boss and not let his B company interfere with work. Fast forward a few months, the dude is being a total killjoy and doesn't want us to celebrate Halloween and Christmas, even though he proudly proclaimed he was a Christian. I can get Halloween, but come on, dude. And ultimately ate all the Halloween candy that was meant for the customers. Dude had ad as hell making random inventions that would fail in a month's time, and he wouldn't take the blame for it, even though he made the modifications. He would eat all the snacks provided for the staff, and just started taking multiple snacks at a time and eating them with various loud chewing noises. He would show us how he ate chips, which was by smashing the bag so the chips form a dust, to where he would ingest the whole chip dust in one sitting. Come a month ago, his B stuff keeps getting in the way, and he keeps asking for time off / schedule changes with no stored PTO, and gave the ultimatum to my bosses to let him do what he wants or he's gone. That was an easy goodbye, as he was already on thin ice. Oh, and he did around 15,000 worth of damages alone, blowing up a VFD by spraying simple green on it, spiderwebbing a thick glass panel, breaking a whole rack, and various things because of his carelessness. That, and he made an awful joke the first shift we worked together. Damn you, Ben! Sorry for poor formatting on my phone. Next story. Because he is a crayon-eating moron. Mouth-breathing idiot sucking up valuable oxygen from hardworking guys. Drinking the water the whales need. Next story. Employee who, I literally believe, warps reality around her to better convenience her. We've had conversations where she disagrees with my decision. I tell her we'll try it my way first, and if it doesn't work, we'll reevaluate it. She then leaves my office and tells my assistant manager that I said to do it her way. Assistant comes to ask me, and I of course say no way. We had a meeting last week, along with my boss, to see what her problem is. Not only does she not have a problem, she's behind me 100%. I bring up a conversation we had of her previously telling me something relevant, trying to paint her into a corner, and she twists it all around to make it seem like I'm making up the conversation. After that meeting, she emailed my boss to point out to him how disrespectful I was to her, and how I was constantly interrupting her. A pet peeve of mine, so I almost never do it. He came to me saying, "Were we all in the same meeting?" The funny thing is that she interrupted my boss more than once, which he recognized. Next story. We just hired this new server who thinks she's being trained for a management program. Spoiler alert, she's not. She seems to feel the need to discuss every damn thing instead of just taking direction. She also seems to have latched onto me as some sort of ally. Maybe because I'm also a woman? But dude, don't come to me to trash talk the chef or another manager. Just because I'm not your manager doesn't mean that what you say isn't going to affect you. In fact, it's even more likely that it's going to get back to someone when you say trash to me. Don't think any of this is being said in confidence. Just today before I left, I held the door for her as she was walking out of the kitchen, and she makes some comment about, "Last time I ever helped somebody out here." It wasn't directed at me, but it was clear she wanted me to ask what was wrong. I acted like I didn't hear her and walked back to my office thinking, it is literally your job to help people. You are the newest server, and therefore you are the one who is going to get asked to go get things and do stuff like roll silverware. You are not a manager, no matter how many people you tell that that's what you're getting trained for. If only I could say that. Next story. My coworker constantly brags about her teenage son, how smart he is, how great at sports he is, how handsome he is. She is obsessed with him. I know more about him than many of my friends. Next story. Boss's daughter. He lets her get away with anything that would get anyone else in the company fired. You think of something and she probably does it daily. Texts the entire time, makes long personal calls, gets on Facebook a lot, rushes people to do her job for her, and then takes the credit. Next story. I have one that creeps up behind people and meows in their ears. Also has absolutely no social awareness. The 5 minutes I have to see him between shift changes is more than enough. Next story. Because when he comes in and says good morning and you're on the phone with a customer and just give a little wave of acknowledgement, he'll keep standing next to you until you end your phone call and tell him good morning. Also, everyone else adores him, and that makes me suspicious. Like, does he drug them and is creating a Stepford army? Next story, 5 p.m. I have 2 jobs. I don't need this job. Screw this. I'm not doing my work. 6 p.m. I can't believe they are cutting hours. How am I supposed to pay the bills? Next story. I don't work with her anymore, but she was a huge hypocrite. She talked about Weight Watchers all the time, making veiled suggestions to people who should join, while steadily gaining weight. She was Little Miss Christian who stabbed me in the back with her lies and gossiped constantly. Next story. He's lazy but acts like he's the hardest worker there. He does 1 or 2 things. It takes him way too long. He doesn't even do it well. And when he's done, acts like he just parted the Red Sea. Next story. First we have Rictus, the typical evil grandma from any story. She's old to the point where she has that old person grin all the time, and she does nothing all day. Just stalks up and down the aisles, shaking her head in disapproval at everything, and loudly about not getting enough hours. Next we have Coco Beware, the Birdman, a young kid with a big problem understanding personal space. When he's done stalking an aisle, he'll flap his arms a few times like some barely pubescent bird of prey. I could let it slide as a sort of working the muscles out excursive, if not for the fact that we cause while doing it. He's also a close talker, and those guys are assholes. Lastly, we have Disney, blonde hair down to her ass, non-stop full-mouth singing all damn day. We're at work in the salt mines. No one cares what a few of your favorite things are. You've killed that song, you insipid twat. Also, she thinks she's a manager, which is something that always pisses me off. Couple that with her homeschooled personality, and you have the perfect recipe for blood pressure. Take your pick. Next story. Had a coworker who, despite being well above 30 and me being the youngest at 20, acted like we were all still playing a high school game and she was queen. Now she stalks me at my favorite restaurant, and she reports back to everyone where I used to work. I used to work with my ex's mom, and she explodes about me to her son each time I am cited. Next story. For clarification, I take care of people with disabilities for work. He hides things and moves things around. Biggest thing recently has been a large hospital cup. We have one client who requires 1,000 cubic centimeters of water a day, given through a tube. This is the only client that needs a measured amount of water. And yet, when he works with a specific other client, who needs an amount of water equal to his food, both can be measured by syringe. He hides the cup so that only he can use it. Makes it difficult to measure the water. He moves things around seemingly randomly and with no reason. Most recently, he seems to think that all of our plungers belong in one bathroom. He in general doesn't care what the other employees are doing, which causes all of us to hate working with him. Best example is that he doesn't make dinner unless it's explicitly told to him, which has led to an hour late dinner tonight because he didn't make dinner while I was with another client at a medical appointment. Next story. I'm the concept art designer of a game dev company. This game designer guy, whose job is mainly writing plot and stuff, once made up that he has a long-distance relationship girlfriend when he saw my GF visited me, and implied that he'll bang my girlfriend. What a heck. He always tries to slide in some of his already rejected ideas of design and get me to draw for him. Not to mention, he always acts like his ideas are the greatest. It's okay, you just draw this, and they will like it. Don't worry. We had just discussed and rejected your awful ideas. They don't fit in the game. An anime girl with huge breasts and huge mecha in a kid's game full of cute monsters and stuff? Are you mad? So I reported this to the head of art department, and she told me to just ignore him. He's full of himself. If I did as he said, not only I'll waste my time on a rejected idea, but I also have to take the responsibility when he can walk away guilt-free. So, later, our producer gave us some feedback on some visual changes, so we needed to adjust some of the art assets designs. It was a pretty normal thing to do in development, but then that idiot came over and said, "Why are your designs so bad? You could have avoided this adjustment should you took my advice." And when he saw the producer coming by to drop some instructions on how to adjust the designs, he was like, "I told him so, but he would not listen." Producer, you are absolutely right. I agree with all your choices. This guy should really learn a lesson from you to be more adequate." The producer just shrugged and tell him to return to his workplace. He's been harassing me for like half an hour. After he's gone, the producer told me just ignore that douche as well. Yeah, like he really has any idea of concept art design to belittle me. Such loser. He was let go from the company 2 months later due to his incompetence. He did not do his work, like, at all. Always try to blame others for it too. So karma. Next story. He's a nice guy. I'm sitting next to him right now. I don't hate him, but he is so loud. And he's always looking over to my cubicle to see what I'm doing for no reason. And whenever I talk to my girlfriend in another cubicle, he makes a face or air humps. But there is one guy who's basically unanimously hated across the team. He's been here for a while, but he's not as smart as he thinks. And he acts like a supervisor even though he has absolutely no authority. He'll call people out for menial things in the group chat. Then when the other person, privately, messages him to ask what the heck, he'll say, "Take it up with management, please." I feel bad for the guy because I know he doesn't have many friends, but not bad enough to be his friend. Next story. The guy is an actual moron. He was tasked with changing a light. They are small strip lights that you just have to twist, and they come out. He's done it hundreds of times before. He was changing the light above my desk, wobbling about on a wheelie office chair to reach it, but he can't unhook the bulb. I'm looking at him thinking, oh, he's definitely going to fall. At that moment, he stopped, got down from the chair, and walked off. I breathed a sigh of relief and carried on with my work. A couple of minutes later, he comes back, climbs straight up on the chair, and before I can stop him, he jams a knife into the socket in an effort to unhook the bulb. Cue a pop as the other lights go off, and him flying off the chair and landing in a heap as he got a minor electrocution. I start shouting at him in shock about what the hell he was thinking. He shouted back, "I don't need you to tell me what to do." I've got loads of other stories about him, but that is the most ridiculous. Next story. He is really loud. I'm a sysadmin, and we work 5 feet from each other in cubicles. He's an awesome guy, but he is really loud and talkative. I don't mind it when it's in doses, and thankfully, we only work 3 days together. Otherwise, I think I would snap at him. I mean, I can even hear him over my headphones. Next story. He was the anti-Midas. Everything he touched turned to crap. Every time he got a call, he'd cause so much damage by moving files he shouldn't have, or changing settings he shouldn't, and then handing the now furious client onto one of the other techs while acting like he had done nothing. At the office, we had a betting table with which unfortunate tech would need to fix the problems he'd cause every time he answered the phone. He was also the owner's son, and his mother was HR, so there was no way for any reports against him to stick. Next story. Guy would start any conversation with a random, pointless opener. My favorite was, "So, what would you say is your biggest weakness?" What the heck do you say to that? Escorting drugs? Next story. Because he's an unfunny cunt who is constantly trying to force himself into other people's plans, he takes credit for stuff he didn't do. For example, stories and jokes. He refuses to help you if you ask kindly for it, but expects you to drop everything for him. The list goes on and on and on for minor annoyances that add up over time. One time, he basically stalked a close friend of mine who was in hospital, and then tried to complain about her being an uptight when she blocked him on all forms of social media. He was creeping her out that much. But the worst thing that he's done, to me at least, was when my friends found out that I self-harmed. He would laugh at me and constantly make jokes. For example, "Keep those scissors away from CalMac TW. He might try to kill himself with them." Or, "Have you cut yourself today yet? So that's why I hate him so much." Next story. Here you go. I work with a girl who is a pathological liar and lazy as hell. She tells everyone she's going to school to be a doctor, but she can't make it past one task without walking away and letting someone else finish it. She pretends to be in honors classes that I know don't exist at my local university. She spouts BS opinions and tries to pass them off as facts. Talking to her for more than 2 minutes is enough to drive you crazy. We are banquet servers. Everyone splits tips. Everyone does every job, like setup for the event, serving food, making drinks, bussing tables, polishing glasses and silverware, and breaking the event down after. One night, after everyone had gotten a break and chance to eat leftover buffet food, we were all told to break down a 250-person wedding that was trickling out. We have to carry trays in front of members and guests at all times. This girl, we'll call her Amy, does everything she can to not work but appear busy. At least once a shift, everyone is asking, "Where's Amy? You seen Amy?" She's hiding in the women's locker room on her phone. Went to take linens back, but is sitting in the linen closet on her phone for a half hour. Any rate, she gets told to do something, grabs a tray and walks off. I decide to follow her. The way our club is set up, it is a giant circle. I follow her from the kitchen, through the banquet hall, to the bar, through the server station, and back to the kitchen, twice. I cut her off on the third loop to ask her where she's going, and she says she's doing something important for our boss. Since I knew better, I went to go tell him my observations. He handled her like a pro, told me to keep following her, told another girl to follow me and let her know why, then another and another. The look of understanding that dawned on Amy's face when she realized she had all 9 servers following her for 10 minutes while she did nothing was priceless. Story 50. So yesterday I handed in my written 2-week notice. The manager that talked to me like I was dumb and caused that last straw that broke the camel's back, he won't even look me in the eyes anymore. A couple of other people handed in their resignation today after they found out that I was leaving. My last day is November 8th, so I had to work today. Okay, I'm just doing my job as usual, not bothering anyone. While I was getting food out to my tables, alone by the way because almost nobody wants to help me since I'm leaving them, I asked the bartender if she would give me a few of the gummy bears that go into certain drinks. She gave me a handful of them and I thanked her. Here comes my other coworker, the one who yelled at me the other day, telling me how my eating the gummies was against the rules. I said, "Okay," then put another one in my mouth. She said, "Nuh-uh, don't try to hide it because," kitchen manager, "already saw you eating it." So I scoffed at her and rolled my eyes and said, "What's he gonna do, fire me? Great. I won't have to spend the next 2 weeks in hell." She got insulted and ran and told the kitchen manager what I said. I was hoping he would send me home, but no such luck. Next story. So I started a new job at a company a few months back. I'm a pharmacy technician. So far, this job has been pretty good all things considered. I like the work, I like my coworkers, and there's a significant lack of overwhelm compared to other jobs. In regards to it being too much for me to handle mentally, I still believe that, but there's always got to be one snag, right? All my other coworkers are significantly older than me. Most have families and children. I do not. I'm more of an actual child compared to them. There are a few who don't have kids, and there are a few who are closer to my age. This is about a coworker who is only a few months older than me, 24, and already has a husband and child. I'm not out here saying anyone who doesn't act like me is wrong or something. I'm a very passive person by nature, at least in active confrontation. But this girl, I swear, she has created a reputation amongst my coworkers as the princess. Yes, they actually call her that jokingly. She leaves passive-aggressive notes about any mistake that is made, regardless of the fact that everyone else on the team does in fact know how to do their jobs. They just make mistakes, like most human beings do. One coworker does complain about her passive-aggressive texts to the group chat. She's a silly, quirky, selfish jerk. They all essentially silently, yet unanimously, agreed it's easier to placate this girl than to confront her and get her to change her behavior. Likely because it would likely affect everyone else. It's not as if everyone else is the picture of professionalism, but I have been more vocal about my distaste for it. Too much, maybe. I come from a place of, I don't want to come to work and worry about a social hierarchy. I come here to get paid, not to relive high school. There was something that happened recently that tipped me over the edge. As part of my duties at the checkout counter, I have to collect and return scripts that are due to be put back after 10 to 14 days, to avoid insurance fraud. My other coworkers put them away in the morning. I choose to put them away at night because I know how frustrating it might be to believe you had until the end of the day and come to find you didn't actually have that time. But I wasn't the closing technician, so I decided what I'd do is collect the scripts from the list and print all the labels so they could be simply scanned and relabeled. Easy. I thought I was making it a simpler process. No, apparently this was an inconvenience for Princess. Below is the conversation we had right after I left work. She sent the first text as I was driving home. Can we not pull things before almost leaving? And this whole you thing of you thinking I'm acting childish, yet ripping generalized notes I leave for the team, is literally ridiculous. I don't mean not to come at you, but I'm always helping. I don't see you often, so that's the only way I can communicate with you. I'm still trying to be as helpful as I can be without being rude. Like underneath all this sass and attitude, I promise I'm nice, but dude, I'm sorry if it's coming off rude, but it's stressful for the rest of us. I'm sorry for my behavior. I'll try to keep my emotions under wraps and not put my issues on others. I understand I'm the new guy, so I probably just got way too comfortable way too quickly, and I still have stuff to learn. I'll handle myself better in the future. Would it help if we leave reminders? Like genuinely asking. What would help? I pulled the return to stocks because I don't return them at the beginning of the day, so I prepped them so they could be returned at the end of the day. I don't believe I need reminders for anything. If there's a set of tasks for each station, I can make a list or something maybe. All of the processes are informally categorized in my head, so I just keep doing what I do every time until I'm told otherwise. If the way I'm doing things is messing stuff up for others, I can make changes. We do, because they had that many days already to come in, and we don't call them. There's been things like not marking bottles on my weekends I find all the time. I found a drug in another bottle that you filled last. I looked into it. It's just the way you do things, some things, or you communicate. I'm not going to throw names, but sometimes you have to use your actual words and not noises. Just do things in like batches. For example, in product, print only 10 to 20 RXs at a time, because you never know what could happen. We truly don't mean to come at you. I understand. I'll make changes. Thank you. If we also need to make some, let us know. Also, what is this rumor about you being scared of me? Me. I'm not scared of you. I just find that I avoid intentional confrontation on all fronts, even without thinking about it, even though I can talk no problem. But you are not unwilling to be confrontational. The way you interact can sometimes read as passive-aggressive. I genuinely just don't know how to react in a way that is correct, and I really wish I did know. And that's a part of me saying that I'm going to stop putting my issues onto others. It's not fair to make everyone else cater to my baggage, so I'll just deal with it myself. Nen. It's totally okay if you're not confrontational. That's mine and Tobe. I know I am passive-aggressive, and sometimes I don't mean to, but when I need someone to correct something after various attempts of mentioning it, I get that way. We are here to help. Don't put everything on yourself. I promise I am one of the nicest people you'll know. Here's some context. I have a history with people who are confrontational and don't seem to care about how they make others feel. You could call it trauma. This girl literally triggers a fight or flight response in me at times, along with the usual anger and frustration. So in this conversation, I'm choosing the fawn response, to placate her, to limit any hostile responses for my own safety, of my own perception. Understandably, this is not her job to manage my trauma, but this is the explanation for why I am not telling her to back off like I should have done. But I also didn't want to mess with my coworkers and them having to be caught in the middle, as well as her bringing up a rumor, which was just, what the actual dude, what do you aim to achieve by dredging this up, especially over text? Second, she's talking as if she was talking on behalf of everyone. I asked later, the only thing they truly had any say in with what she said was about my printing off a lot of scripts at the end of a shift a few nights before, which was an understandable thing to be upset about for them. I did print a lot of labels, but other than that, she made it out to be that all my coworkers are upset with me, not just for my performance, but for the way I act and who I am. And this greatly upset me for the rest of that night. I truly was having the beginning of a mental breakdown until I talked to my coworkers the next day. Yes, I shouldn't care what coworkers think of me, but damn, I like my coworkers, and I want them to like me. So it really did mess me up when she was saying all this stuff and catching me off guard like that. I can make mistakes and receive criticism just fine. I won't freak out if it's done professionally. My other coworkers understand this concept, as they pointed out to me in person, not in notes or texts. I will make mistakes, and most likely continue to make mistakes. The problem is, this girl approached me in an entirely unprofessional manner, with an air of hostility and holier-than-thou energy, aiming to bring me down a peg. I could sense that a mile away, and I'm not joking, literally autistic. I suck at reading tone over texts. So once I had good talks with my coworkers and thought it over during a shift, I've come to the conclusion this coworker is either a complete narcissist of some kind and truly does whatever she wants for her own amusement, or she is so miserable that she has to create drama in other people's lives to feel better about her own life, even if it hurts the people she claims to care about. I don't trust anyone who says they're the nicest person you'll ever meet. No, that honor goes to Kay, and you're not even nice either. Next story. We all have that one coworker. That coworker that no one likes. That annoys everyone. Preston. Dude starts telling everyone there's a police investigation he's going through that might involve the FBI. Now, normally, I think if feds are involved, maybe you shouldn't be talking about it. But thing is, dude won't shut up about it. It's to a point where we've politely told him no one is to paying attention. My manager, who is usually straight to the point, was having a bad day, but she tried to be polite about it. He still wouldn't shut up. Last night was the Christmas party. He goes on about buying a universal phone charger that charges 12 phones. I've worked enough to know not to buy any special items for the store, to know how fast they either vanish or get broke. I told him no, don't, since it'll get stolen. I'll write store-bought. I'll bolt it down. I tried telling him the GM won't let you bolt it down. It'll just get in the way while we're busy. Second again, I've been there. People will find a way to steal it. It's unanimous that no one likes him. We've already talked about duct tape. I've thought about duct taping him to a chair and put him in the back. Won't hurt him, but give us peace and quiet for a bit. Next story. She apparently said something that she absolutely positively should not have said. To this day, nobody in the know has ever told me exactly what she said, but considering some of the things regularly said around the office, I can only imagine it was hard R level. Next story. A grown man's elderly mother came in to harass the owner, basically saying that he gave her son that computer and how dare he now accuse him of stealing. No computer was given, no one realized or knew why the computer went missing. No one ever accused him, but it was realized a computer did go missing. He told his mom that it was given to him, then told her that he was accused of stealing it, fired and charged for theft. Next story. Our company's founder owned the building and rented some space at street level to outside businesses. A C-suite executive decided it would be a good idea to have an affair with the owner of one of those businesses in his office after hours. They were caught on cameras that he had insisted on installing. Next story. Company cruise. This guy slept with a random woman before the ship even took off. He didn't show up for the mustard drill, and they had to go find them. The guy continues to be a party animal and had several embarrassing moments. The final straw was he gambled a bunch and couldn't pay his tab at the end. They held him on the boat, arrested him, and he missed his flight home, never to be seen again. Crazy dude. Next story. It's pretty hard to get fired from my job, but doing something unsafe will get you fired the same day. Had a dude reach into a moving fan on a semi-truck and cut himself pretty bad. Went to the hospital and then got fired. Basically, just do your safety paperwork and don't get hurt, and they could care less. If you're productive on top of being safe, then management will leave you alone forever, except to give you raises. Next story. In a sales org, we had someone dialing a number that played, "Never gonna give you up." They repeated it dozens of times a day. Same number, same call duration, repeatedly. Then they'd point to their call volume as evidence as to them working hard, and wonder why they weren't getting business. Next story, he would go in the bathroom and pee on the walls, and then proceed to come out and tell the female workers to go clean the restrooms. He was caused because one of the other male workers went in to use the restroom and caused him yellow-handed. See what I did there? While walking out, he proceeded to yell, "Damn you," until he made it out the door. Turns out he was on Met. Next story. There was a guy who was hired because his mom knew our vice president. He was clearly a trust fund kid who had no qualifications or experience. 3 weeks in, he disappeared for a few hours on a Friday and came back absolutely blitzed. He had clearly gone and done a lot of cocaine. To be fair, the vice president who hired him fired him and apologized to everyone for not vetting him better. Next story. Trying to pleasure himself while watching adult film on his phone at work. By at work, I mean a shared workspace with little to no privacy between coworkers. Multiple witnesses who gave accounts to HR in the investigation. HR knew all he had to do to keep the job was admit to it and agree to some sort of suspension, compliance training, and a few other things. He still tried to deny it. Next story. We were working as servers in a restaurant. Once she came in drunk, she wasn't even able to walk straight anymore. Whenever she was sober, she just showed us videos of her cats and didn't react when the bell rang. Cue to take a dish from the kitchen to the guest table. Didn't make it past her trial period. Next story. He was always weird, but seemed harmless. Then one day he was passing a female coworker in the hall, and he grabbed her by the shoulders and forcibly tried to kiss her. Next story. CP on his home computer. Sheriff and SWAT team arrested him at work, told him the charges in front of everyone. His dad also worked for the company. It was awesome. Next story. Worked at oil refinery. One of our jobs was to open the valve on the bottom of a 100,000-gallon crude oil tank and drain out the crude water that sinks to the bottom, leaving just the oil in the tank. My coworker opened the valve to drain it and then walked away and forgot about it. Hours later, there were thousands of gallons of crude oil on the ground. Next story. Looking at adult film on his computer. The company at the time had closed-door offices for everyone. I don't know exactly what went down, whether the idiot left his office door open, somebody came in unannounced, or what, but he got caught. I worked in it at the time. I was asked by HR to get logs of his internet activity. Next story. He grabbed a coworker and slammed him on top of a car on the showroom floor, in front of customers. He accused him of stealing his customer, car salesman, because someone came in ready to buy a car on his day off, and the other sales guy was the first one the customer talked to. Next story. New district manager comes to watch him work because he sells more phones than anyone by far. Guy is talking quietly with a young lady about a purchase. She finally says it's not the phone for her. He gently puts his hand on top of hers and asks her to think it over again. DM fired him on the spot. You can't ever put hands on the customer, guys. Next story. Brought a knife to work, started uttering threats about a coworker. Now most of us carry X-Acto knives, box cutters, pocket knives for freight day, that's whatever. But he brought in this huge damn knife and started flashing it to staff in his jacket while uttering how he wanted harm to become a very petite female coworker. That was a big old nope. Police were called and he was soon fired. Next story. Guy was pissed off about how he was being treated. Said very loudly that, "I'm sick of being treated." Our black coworker was walking by. Dude's defense was that he wasn't referring to him and that the black dude should understand that. Next story. Woman. And she was a supervisor. She was punched by an employee and started to fight back, but another supervisor stopped her. That's not what she was fired for, though. They looked at the day's footage and found out that she was the one who had been stealing. Next story. The last parts manager here didn't know how to look up parts in electronic catalogs and couldn't or refused to learn. Anytime someone asked him for a part, he would play with his computer for about 30 minutes and then say it was on back order and not available. Don't know how he lasted over a year. Next story. I was delivering pizzas in college. One dude got fired same day for several things, including holding a pizza under his arm, vertically, as he walked up to the house, then blamed us for not telling him not to do that. His last delivery, he missed the exit, before smartphones, and drove from Los Angeles to San Diego looking for the exit. Next story. He went to Florida on the company dime to attend a conference. Never came back to the office. We eventually had an all-hands meeting that this person was arrested and won't be coming back. Out of respect for his privacy, we were asked not to do any of our own research, and if we had questions, to ask HR. Everyone immediately went back to Google his name. He was caught in a sting operation, Chris Hansen style. Next story. Addict. We nicknamed him Coffee because he was at the coffee pot all day long. Tried to sell pills to the boss on a Friday. Got fired. Called me a Monday morning for a ride. I ignored the call. Shows up late, and we had to tell him what happened on Friday. Then proceeded to try to steal some 2x4s. Fun day. Next story. Dude was the guy who locked up at night. Had the keys. He was the one responsible to make sure everything was secure. There was shoplifting going through the roof, and no one could figure out how they were doing it. Turned out, it was the security dude with the keys. He was just walking out every night with a bag of stuff, helping himself. Turned out he was just tossing it all in his trunk. And when they busted him, he had a trunk full of merchandise. Next story. He was trying to get our boss, IT director, fired, so he told HR to go through his team's messages to find all the idiotic tasks the boss was setting. He was walked out of the building before the end of the day when HR found his constant and unwelcome harassment of one of our coworkers. Next story. He didn't come into work that day and corporate security made a surprised visit to the office. Informed us he was arrested on illegal firearm possession, sending ammo illegally through the mail, being at the Capitol on January 6th, and threatening CNN and Fauci with death threats. FBI wanted to know if he stole any lab chemicals, or if his notebooks contained explosive compounds. Next story. Woman worked for about a year in our supermarket. She was very into beauty surgery, and had half her face and her boobs done. Rumors were going around about her taking drugs and sleeping with the guy who deals it around the store. One day she left, and I forgot about her, until a friend/coworker showed me screenshots from an escort site someone found. It was her. Next story. Owner's husband met him at Toastmasters and offered him an accounting job at our shop. The owner liked the guy and she hired him, gave him access to everything. 6 months later, he stole her Jaguar and disappeared. They found the car near the CA border. He'd been robbing her blind the entire time, and I guess he figured that he couldn't hide it anymore, so he took off before he got found out. Next story. Not as crazy as some of the others here, but I had one guy who would shave his, hopefully, face semi-daily in the employee bathroom, and then flatly deny it. This continues for a while. Boss goes in after him, sees the hairs covering the sink, and tells him to stop shaving at work. And without batting an eye, this freshly shaven dude would be like, "It wasn't me." Really baffled me. Next story. Making coffee in the lunch break room. Making of said coffee consisted of putting grounds in the glass pot, adding no water to the receptacle, putting the glass pot on the burner, and turning on the pot to brew the coffee. Had to be about the most pungent thing I've ever smelled. I did not witness the attempted coffee making, but always had a really good idea of who it was. Next story. Slept his way to management position. His wife went to docs feeling like the flu. Turns out she's got gonorrhea. That's when she found out how husband and father of the year got promotions so quickly. Her and I talk here and there. She filed for divorce. He got 2 of the ladies at work pregnant. Now has to pay child support for 4 kids. Dumbass. Next story. He came off his e-scooter going down a hill at max speed due to some emergency brake activating and damaged his leg to the point he had to have surgery on his ankle. Did exactly the same thing again shortly after and may have to have the foot amputated. Next story. He came in as a temp to handle data entry overflow. While we were at lunch, he took his company-owned computer tower apart and installed new hardware because our system was not able to run the massive amounts of data he was processing for SETI on company time. Next story. They got arrested for escort. Never could really shake that off. He resigned. His last words when asked what he would do next? Read in vacation. Damn this place. He was an executive producer for a #1 local news station. Next story. About 15 years ago, he married a gold digger. She took everything, and it was not enough. He ended his life. My coworkers found him. We were all high-level government analysts. He was a vet and is buried at Arlington. Next story. 2 of the line cooks were ducking around, and one of them added substances the other, resulting in a huge gash on the recipient's head that required a good number of stitches, and he refused to file workers' comp because it would have resulted in a drug test that he would have failed. Next story. Coworker number 1 cashed her paycheck at lunch. It was about $400. Coworker number 2 was seen in the back room rifling through everyone's stuff. Number 1 noticed her money was missing. Cops were called. The money was located in number 2's. She was promptly fired. A few days later, she was arrested for robbing the ice cream place down the road. Next story. I worked with a lady who oversaw the career counseling at a private college, who showed up to work using a 750 milliliter plastic Smirnoff bottle as a water bottle because it was perfect size, and she saw nothing wrong with this. Next story. She threw her lit cigarette into a dry-ass bush outside the building during a drought that coincided on the hottest week of the year ever recorded. We all had fire safety training after the bush lit up, and the fire department had to come put out the fire on the side of the building. Good old Sherry. She's so thick. Next story. Well, he died. It was his first day on the job, and he had a heart attack while pulling up subfloor in a shed. I was out at the store grabbing materials and followed the ambulance back to the house we were working at. They performed CPR for about 15 to 20 minutes and carted him off into the ambulance. Next story. We came back from lunch one day and found out the state version of the FBI had led him out of the office in handcuffs. He was a DB and had access to sensitive personal data. I never heard it was directly related to this, but it seems likely. Next story. Was caught do substances in the bathroom, subsequently fired, then passive overdose a few months later. While he was nothing but a coworker to me, different departments with minimal to no interaction, every once in a while I catch myself wondering if there was something more I, or anyone really, could have done.